On February 27, 1993, veterinarian Joseph Wellnitz, his wife Beth, and their 20-year-old son Dennis were found shot to death in the family's Columbia, Kentucky home. Evidence at the scene suggested it was a targeted hit. The only item missing from the home was a small white fire safe. Investigators looked at multiple suspects, including Joseph and Beth's daughter Meg Wellnitz and her then-boyfriend Bill Meese, but the case went cold. 10 years after the triple homicide, police got an explosive new tip from Bill Meese's estranged wife, Regina Meade. She told investigators Meese had carried out the killings for Meg so she could collect the six-figure life insurance payout. Regina also said she knew where the missing white fire safe was. Meg Wellnitz and Bill Meese were arrested and in late 2004 pleaded guilty to the murders. Meg Wellnitz was sentenced to life in prison without parole for at least 25 years. Bill Meese withdrew his plea in 2005, citing conflict with his attorneys, and took his case to trial. Meg Wellnitz is called as a witness and makes some explosive new claims.
When you're ready to proceed, please state your name for the record.
My name is Margaret Appleton.
All right, you may inquire.
Thank you, Judge. Miss Appleton, do you sometimes go by Meg? Are you also known as Meg?
Yes.
All right. And your name of Appleton now, is that your married name?
Yes.
Tell the jury what your maiden name was.
Wellness.
Wellness. Can you explain to the jury, Miss Appleton, how you were related to Joseph, Beth, and Dennis Wellness?
My mom, dad, and brother.
Those are your mother, father, and your brother?
Yes.
I might ask you to speak up just a little bit, okay?
Okay.
All right. Can you tell the jury, Ms. Appleton, about, I know Joseph is not your biological father, is that correct?
He is my adopted father. He's on my birth certificate.
All right. And when were you adopted by Joseph?
The day after I turned 18.
All right. When was that?
March 11th, 92. Bad with math.
All right. Were you, at that time, were you living in Columbia in Adair County?
I was at college by then. I was at Transy.
All right. Tell the jury that you went to high school in Adair County?
My junior and senior year I did.
All right. Before that, where did you go?
I think it was actually, well, it might have been still in Adair County. The New Life Christian Fellowship private school.
All right. Was that, did your parents send you and your brother there?
Yeah.
Okay. After you graduated from high school, you went then to what school?
Transylvania University.
All right. How long were you at Transy?
A year.
And after going to Transylvania, where did you go?
UK.
And how long did you attend classes at UK?
A year.
All right. After that, where did you take classes?
Eastern.
At Eastern. Okay. At UK, did you take some classes through the community college there in Lexington?
Yes.
All right. How old? What's the difference in age between you and Dennis?
23 months.
Who was older?
Dennis was older.
Dennis was 23 months older than you.
Yeah. Chip. Call him Chip.
Okay, you called your brother Dennis. Most people call him Chip.
Yeah.
Meg, if you would, tell the jury. The jury has heard about three people, Bill Meese, his wife Regina, and Randy Appleton. Can you tell the jury how you came to know each of those three people in order, where you met them, how you met them,
I met Bill in English 162 maybe.
all right, which school were you attending?
LCC.
At Lexington Community College. You met Bill Meese, okay?
I think I had one class with him the first semester and two classes with him the second semester, I think.
What school year was that?
92, 93.
All right, so that would have been the fall of 1992 when you first met him?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What about his wife Regina and then also Randy Appleton?
I don't know exactly when I met her. She would come pick him up sometimes. I don't know. At some point I started kind of hanging out with her too.
Okay.
But I'm not exactly sure when that was.
What about Randy?
Randy, I think I met him right before Christmas of that year. Well, it had to have been before that. Maybe right after Halloween.
Okay, so you met Bill Meese before you met Randy Appleton.
Yes.
All right. How did you come to know Randy?
Bill introduced me to him?
Mr. Meese, Bill Meese introduced you to Randy.
Yes.
All right. Do you know how Bill Meese knew Randy Appleton?
I don't know. We all hung out at the same places and we were all in college. He might have taken a class from him,
Okay.
or it might have just that they knew each other from hanging out in the computer science department or something.
All right. We'll jump ahead a little bit here, then I'm going to go back, but I want to talk to you a little bit more about Randy Appleton first. At some point, you and Randy were married, is that correct?
March 25th, 95.
Of 1995. And then you have since divorced.
Yeah.
When was that finally?
4 years later,
In 1999?
Yeah.
All right. Did you all have one child together?
yes.
What's that child's name?
Gabriel Verl Appleton. Gabriel Verl Appleton.
And where does Randy Appleton now live?
Marquette, Michigan.
Did you live with him up there for some short period of time?
Yes.
All right. Now I want to go back. So when you married Randy Appleton in 95, was that after you were out of school?
No, I was going to school at Sinclair College.
Okay. What was Randy Appleton doing at that time?
He was finishing his PhD.
All right. I want to talk to you a little bit now back about Bill Meese. Can you explain to the jury your relationship with Bill Meese? How it developed and how it changed over the months that you came to know Bill Meese?
Could you be more specific
All
than
right.
that?
Did you all develop a close relationship?
Yes.
All right. Explain that to the jury. What do you mean by that?
I guess we dated.
And that was while Bill Meese was married.
Yeah.
All right. And when you say you dated, did you all go out on dates? Were you at each other's homes? What did you do?
We were at each other's homes. We hung out together, like at school. We went and did stuff. We went out for coffee a lot.
All right. Did you all develop a sexual relationship?
Yes.
All right. When did that start?
I have no idea.
All right. Did it start before or after your family was murdered?
Before.
All right. Do you know about how long before?
Reasonable while before. Probably about halfway through the first semester I was in classes with him.
All right. Now, when you say that you would do stuff together, tell the jury what some things were that you and Bill Meese did together.
Played a lot of spades. Hung out at Tally Ho, which is a restaurant. Studied.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions about this, but because the jury's heard some about this already, but were you interested in, to some degree, what's known as Wicca?
No.
You were not interested in that at all.
I went to one Wiccan hand fasting once and one informational meeting once.
And that's not what I'm not talking about the meetings you attended. Did you and Bill Meese ever discuss that in any length?
I didn't even know him when I went to that.
All right.
That was like while I was at Transy. It was a girl I knew at Transy that was getting married. It had nothing to do with him.
Okay. In the fall of 1992, did there begin to be some jokes about a friend of yours by the name of Kelly Simpson, her
Yeah.
family?
It was before that.
All right,
I didn't even
when
know
did
him
that start?
I didn't even know him when that started. It started either the spring or summer before that when her parents were getting ready to go to Africa.
All right, now what kind of jokes were those? Tell the jury what you mean by that.
Her parents had set up all this stuff so that if they got killed while they were in Africa on mission work, she would be able to take care of her and her little sister. And there were jokes about pygmies killing her parents.
All right. And when you say her parents had set up this stuff, you're talking about finances.
Yeah.
Financially, things were set up. Now, at some point, did Bill Meese become involved in some of those jokes?
I'm pretty sure that by the time I met Bill, they had come back from Africa already and the jokes were stopped.
All right. Did you ever have any discussion about those jokes with Bill Meese?
I don't know. I don't specifically recall doing that.
All right. At some point, did there begin to be some jokes about what if something happened to your family?
At some point in there somewhere that there was, but I'm pretty sure that was with Benjamin and not with Bill.
And you're talking about Benjamin Davis.
Yes.
All right. At some point, did Bill become involved in some of those jokes? And I'm not talking about to what degree, but was he present? Did he appear?
I don't think so. Maybe, but I really don't think so. I really think Benjamin was there for some of them, but by the time I even met him, her parents were back, and it didn't.
I'm talking about now when he moved on to jokes about what if something happened to your family.
That happened at the same time, and that really wasn't very relevant. I mean, I don't think I met them then.
All right. Did you ever have any conversations with Bill Meese about something happening to your parents?
No.
Do you recall purchasing a gun
Yes.
in February of 1993?
Yes.
All right. I want to show you an exhibit. Here I have what's been marked and introduced earlier as that exhibit 31. Asked to go for witness. This afternoon, I want to show you what was introduced last week as Commonwealth's Exhibit 31 and ask if you recognize that.
Yes.
Can you tell the jury what that is?
It's the piece of paper that I guess I don't remember filling out, but it's certainly my handwriting.
What parts of that are your handwriting?
The top part, down to the signature.
All right. Whose name did you sign to this form?
April Begley.
Did you have a fake identification that you used that had the identity of April Leanne Bailey on it?
Yes.
And did you use that fake ID to buy this gun?
Yes.
And who was that gun purchased for?
Some friend of Bill's.
Who did you give the gun to?
Bill.
Bill Meese.
Mhm.
Did you know anything about guns?
I think we went over this at that hearing.
Oh, but I
It's
gotta
black.
ask you some questions for the jury.
No, I know very little about guns.
Who picked that gun out?
I guess the guy that he bought it for.
Did you ever meet that person?
No.
Who told you what gun to purchase?
Bill.
Did you indicate to the salesperson that you were buying it for yourself?
Probably. I don't know.
All right. Do you recall there being some ammunition purchased at the same time as the gun was bought?
Yes.
How much ammunition was purchased?
That day we purchased, I think, 4 boxes of target shooting ammunition. The guy called them paper poppers.
Mhm.
And then a few days later, we were all going to go target shooting, so we bought 2 boxes each.
Where did you buy those?
Same place.
Do you remember Bill buying some other type of ammunition?
There was never any other type of ammunition bought. The only ammunition that was ever bought in my presence was target practice, whatever those paper poppers is what they called them.
All right. Now the date on that ATF form was February the 8th, 93.
Okay,
To your knowledge, that's the same date that you bought the weapon.
sure.
All right. I'll show you what was introduced also as exhibit number 30. And what this is a calendar that shows February the 8th on a Monday.
Okay.
Do you recall then after you bought the gun, Did you all go target shooting with the gun at some point?
Twice.
All right, where did you go target shooting with
To that state park place, Salt Lake.
the gun? Do you know when that was?
We went that night with us and Georgie and his friend, whoever that guy was. And then Bill and Gina and Randy and I went, I guess that's Saturday.
You're gonna have to speak into the microphone, please.
Sorry.
Just
And
speak
then-
into the microphone.
So we went that night with me and Bill and Georgie and his friend.
All right, but not Bill's friend who you say he was buying a gun
No.
for, okay?
George Peters was with us when we bought that gun. He was in the parking lot, and we picked up some friend of his after that.
Okay, after this night, when you went target
We
shooting,
went that night,
when did you go again?
I guess the next Saturday.
This following Saturday the 13th?
I think so.
Okay, and where did you go then?
Same place.
Okay, did the friend that you felt, that you're testifying that you're buying this gun for, Bill, did he go with you, or she?
No.
Just the four of you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that gun was bought by you. Do you know what happened to that gun? Did you ever see it again after you went target shooting on the 13th?
No.
And what night were your parents killed?
The 25th, I think. I get very confused because the date that I thought that it was and the date that you guys say in Discovery is different dates.
You recall getting a phone call when your parents' bodies were discovered?
Yes.
What day of the week was found?
Friday?
And let me get that calendar back. Another question I have for you now. Your parents' bodies were found on Friday. You know what day of the week, what day of the month that was?
Well, the convenient calendar says the 26th.
Okay, so then here.
Right.
Prior to that day, prior to the 26th, when was the last time you had seen your parents alive?
The 24th,
That's on this Wednesday.
right?
On that Wednesday, the 24th, would you tell the jury what you did on Wednesday, the 24th? Everything you did that day.
Well, I don't know everything that I did that day. That was 14 years ago.
What you can remember that you did that day?
I went to class. I was supposed to play cards and watch the UK game with Bill and Gina and Randy, but my contact lenses got delivered to Columbia. My mom called me and told me to come pick them up, and so we all went down there.
Now, when you say we all went down there, who all went down there?
Me and Bill and Gina and Randy.
All right. What time did you go down to Columbia that day?
We got there right before the game started. I'm not exactly sure what time that was.
How long did you stay down there that night?
I don't think we even stayed for the entire game, but we might have. UK game.
Did Bill Meese go through the house while you were down there?
Randy gave him a tour of the house.
Of the upstairs and the downstairs of the house?
Yes.
Was Bill Meese shown how the doors worked upstairs?
They're pocket doors, and Randy thought they were cool. So, yeah. My parents' room was not a pocket door. My room and my brother's room were pocket doors.
Were pocket doors.
Were pocket doors.
Okay. Now, at some point, did Bill Meese talk about wanting to set up a commune?
Long after this happened, there was some sort of talk about that sort of thing.
Tell the jury what you're talking about when you say there was talk about that sort of thing.
I he thought it would be cool if a bunch of us went and moved somewhere and were kind of self-sufficient. That would
What do you
be,
mean?
you know, there's people that go live off the grid.
Go what?
Live off the grid. I believe that the state police had harassed him to a point that being away from society sounded good to him. But it wasn't like in a bad way or anything. There was nothing, you know, bad about the whole thing. And it had nothing to do with any of this. It was like 2 years after that.
In fact, he wanted to set up a commune on your parents' farm.
No. This was way after that.
Do you recall meeting with some officers in December of 2004, along with myself?
Yes.
December 31st, 2004.
Yes.
And who was present during that interview?
Me, Pete Guthrie, you, and some random cops. I have no idea. Can't remember.
Who's Pete Guthrie?
My lawyer.
Your attorney. And you recall telling us then that there was a plan. Let me first ask you, was there a plan to kill your family with Bill Meese?
No, I told you a lot of things then because I wanted a plea bargain and I was told I'd have to make a statement you liked to get a plea bargain. I said a lot of things and I don't even remember a lot of things I said.
All right.
Except for that videotape you conveniently showed me.
You've seen the videotape of that statement.
Yeah.
And you were asked to give a truthful statement. Is that correct?
I believe that is what you said.
And you talked about a plan to kill your parents with Bill Meese.
I told you what you wanted to hear because that's what I needed to do to get a plea bargain.
And you talked about Bill wanting to set up a commune on your parents' farm.
Which was not true and something I said because I thought you would like how it sounded.
How did your mother feel about Bill Meese?
She did not like Bill
Tell the jury why she didn't like Bill Meese.
because he was married and was sleeping with them, and she did not like him because of that.
All right. When you took him down there on Wednesday the 24th, was part of your reason to introduce him to your mother?
Yes.
Why?
Because a lot of times she would have opinions that you could change. Like, she would not like someone before she ever met them, but once she met them and kind of got to know them, then she would know who they were instead of knowing what she thought they would be, and so she would change her mind about not liking them. I'd found this to be true several times in the past.
And in fact, didn't you say that you wanted her to meet him so she wouldn't think he was some evil monster?
Objection, lady. That's not.
Yeah, I'd ask
This
him.
is standing, right? Have to rephrase it.
Was there some planning to kill your parents?
No.
Did some of the planning that you all talked about turn out to be real?
There was no plan. There was no nothing.
The gun that was purchased at Sports Unlimited, was that gun the gun that was used to kill your parents?
I sure don't think so.
You recall telling us in December, when I asked you, is that the gun that was used to kill your parents? Do you recall what your answer was?
No, but I lied through that whole statement, so I don't understand why that's even relevant.
The money that you used to buy that gun, who'd you get that money from?
Bill got it from the guy that he was buying it for. I got it from Bill.
But you don't know who that guy was.
No,
And he never was target shooting with you in that gun.
no.
Did you and Bill Meese and or Randy Appleton buy an extra magazine for that gun?
I think there was an extra magazine bought. I don't know who bought it, but I think there was.
All right. When you went to the range target shooting, what did you shoot at?
They have target things there.
Or did you all buy some targets before you went there?
I believe there were some targets bought.
What kind of targets were they?
I don't know, those paper targets that you buy at the store.
Right. What was the design on the front of the target?
I have no idea.
You know where those were bought?
I would guess the same place. I don't know. I don't think we really used them. I think that there was like bullseyes painted on the plywood out there.
Did Bill Meese ever tell you what time was the best time of night to kill somebody?
No?
You recall telling us in December 2004 that what your answer to that question was.
No?
You recall saying that he said that the best time of night was like at 4 in the morning because that's when they were in the deepest REM sleep.
I don't recall saying this.
You don't remember saying that?
Right.
After the deaths of your parents, how soon after their murders did you begin inquiring about insurance?
When we were trying to keep the clinic open and it was apparent we were going to have to hire somebody to do that.
How long after? If their bodies were discovered then on Friday the 26th of February, approximately how long was it before you made some inquiries about life insurance policies?
I have no idea.
Do you recall 2 days later on Sunday the 28th being in Mike Harris's office?
I recall being in Mike Harris's office. It was pretty soon afterwards.
Do you recall making inquiries there about life insurance policies?
I recall Mike Harris telling me things, but I never asked him anything.
You never made any statements about life insurance
Absolutely not.
policies? Do you remember ever directing anybody to look at another policy that had lapsed, a Commonwealth policy?
No, not. Okay, I remember we were going through paperwork and I found an insurance policy and I asked someone, but that was like 2 months later, we were going through a stack of papers at the house and I found physically found a policy. And I remember asking about that because I found it.
But it's your testimony that was 2 months later.
I guess it was, yes, it seems like that's how long it was. This was 14 years ago. I'm kind of hazy about the timeline.
Did you also think that there was going to be mortgage insurance to pay off the farm?
My grandmother inherited the farm, not me, but yes, I did think that there was going to be something like that.
And the wills directed her to take care of you, didn't they?
I guess.
And she has taken care of you, hasn't she?
Yeah.
And you've received money periodically from your grandmother since the deaths of your family, is that correct?
Yes.
And you continue today to receive money from your grandmother, is that correct?
Yes.
And you have, in fact, denied to her that you ever had any involvement in this. Is that correct?
Objection, Lee.
No, real that one. Right.
I didn't have anything to do with this.
All right. And you know that in spite of the statement you gave in December, that if you acknowledged that to her, she would quit providing you with money, won't she?
No.
Objection, leading. Won't she?
Well, let's rephrase the question, Mr. Wright.
Do you believe that if you acknowledge to Ms. Preston that you had involvement in these murders, do you believe that she will stop providing you with money?
I had no involvement in these murders, and even if I did, I don't think that she would stop loving me. And I don't really care about the other stuff.
All right. And in fact, for the past 13 years, that's been your primary source of income, hasn't it, Miss Preston?
No,
All right, what else have you had?
I certainly worked it during a lot of that and had a husband during a lot of that.
Aren't your husband? Where did you work?
Several bars, shares our games.
You bought a bar, didn't you? You owned a bar.
Yes, I own a bar.
Where did you get the money to buy that bar?
My divorce settlement, what I got out of his TIA crap.
And some of the money you used to run that bar also came from Miss Preston, didn't it? Through the trust fund.
Yes, eventually.
And at least for the past 4 years, that has been your sole source of income, hasn't it?
No,
Where else have you gotten money?
Tracy Harris.
Tracy Harris. She's a friend of yours from Lexington,
Yes,
and she gives you money sometimes.
yes. Wow. And Terrell Newman.
I'm sorry, you
Terrell Newman has also sent me money occasionally.
Would it be fair to say that Miss Preston has been your primary source of income?
I believe that she sends $20 more a month than Tracy does, but I don't think that's. I think she's about half of my income.
All right. After the murders, did you provide to the Kentucky State Police a gas receipt?
Yes.
All right, can you explain to the jury how you acquired that gas receipt?
I'm really actually confused about that. Somewhere in the discovery, I read that I had gotten a copy of the receipt, and they seem to think I'd gotten a copy of the receipt. I seem to think that I'd already given it to my grandmother and she had to give it back to me.
Okay.
I'm not really sure. I had my grandmother's gas card because I had my grandmother's car. So I would collect all the receipts and would give them to her at the end of the month. And it never occurred to me that I was a suspect of anything. And by the time I figured that out, I thought, oh, I should provide them with this, and then they'll know where I was, and then this won't be a problem.
All right.
And
Tell the jury when and where and what time it was when you purchased the gas that was shown a gas receipt.
Lexington, like 2:30 something in the morning, the BP in Lexington Mall.
All right, who's with you?
Bill?
Just you and Bill Meese.
Yeah.
All right, now prior to purchasing gas at approximately 2:28, I think it is on the receipt, at 2:30 in the morning, what night was that?
Thursday.
Thursday night after midnight, so it would have been early Friday morning, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was only a few hours before your parents were found murdered.
Objection. Oh, never mind. I withdraw that.
That was only a few hours before your parents were found murdered,
That is correct.
all right? And tell the jury, before you got gas at this BP station, this gas station in Lexington, 2:30 in the morning, tell the jury where you had been that entire evening prior to that time.
Well, I'd gone to class that day. I think my last class was over at like 7 or 9 or something. I don't remember. I had played cards and drank some with Randy and Bill and Gina. Maybe Benjamin. Don't know. Randy had to go to work at like 11. I had run errands and fed my cats. We went out to coffee somewhere in there.
You and when you say we went out for coffee, who went out for coffee?
Bill and I.
And where did you leave from to go get coffee?
My apartment.
All right, before you went to your apartment, where were you?
Bill's apartment.
All right, so you and Bill left from Bill's apartment together.
Mm-hmm.
alone, the two of you.
Right.
Nobody else was with you.
Right.
And that was sometime prior to you and Bill getting gas at 2:30 in the morning.
Right.
Now, when you left, do you know if Bill told Regina anything about where you were going?
She and I don't like each other. I have no idea.
Okay. And then after you got gas, what did you and Bill do? What's your testimony now as to what you and Bill did after you got the gas at 2:30 in the morning?
We went back to Bill's apartment.
What time did you get back to Bill's apartment?
Oh, did we go to coffee? See, I can't remember. I can't remember if we went to coffee before that or if we went to coffee after that. Though it seems to me, so either we went straight to his apartment from there, or I can't remember which order that we did things in. It's been a really long time.
At some point, did you leave Bill at his apartment and go to Randy's apartment?
Yes,
What time did you get to Randy's apartment?
I got to Randy's apartment right at sunrise. I'm not sure exactly what time that is.
All right. And when we're talking about 2:30 in the morning. You're talking about, that's Eastern time in Lexington, correct?
Right.
Columbia's on Central time. But between the time that you got gas at 2:30 and the time you got to Randy's apartment at sunrise, you don't remember where you were?
Bill's? I don't remember. Bill and I went to Denny's or Perkins. They were right next to each other, and we would just go to the one where the parking lot was emptiest. And I can't remember if we went before we got gas or after we got gas, but I think that we went after we got gas because I was on the phone before we got gas.
You made some long distance phone calls before you got gas, correct?
Yeah.
So after you got gas, what'd you do?
I think after we got gas, we went to Perkins, and then we went to his apartment. Or we might have gone to Perkins before we got gas, and then we went straight to his apartment. I'm not sure.
What'd you do at his apartment?
Study for midterm?
For a midterm?
Yeah.
You didn't have class the next day.
No, we had a midterm the next Tuesday.
That gas receipt that you got from the gas station, what did you later do with that?
Gave it to my grandmother,
After you got it back from your grandmother?
gave it to the state police because they asked for it.
Do you recall telling us in December of 2004 that you went back and agreed with the plan to kill your family?
I told you what you wanted to hear.
But the only thing you were ever told was to tell the truth during that statement, isn't it?
By you.
You recall telling us about your reaction when you found out your brother was there.
I was really high when I made that statement, and you've showed me the videotape of it since then, and I still don't remember everything that was on it. Not that I think that watching the videotape would be good, but
You were high when you were on it.
yes,
What were you high? Well, you tell the jury what you say you were high on.
Seroquel
Seroquel. And where did you get this Seroquel?
from another inmate.
Who was that?
I'm pretty sure that that is a crime on both her part and my part, and I'm not telling you.
Did you tell Bill Neese about a fire safe that was in your parents' house at some point?
Not that I remember.
Do you recall telling us that you told him of its existence?
I'm sure that I did tell you that.
You don't recall that. You don't have a recollection of telling us that.
I have a recollection of watching myself on video telling you that, but I don't remember saying it myself.
And you say you were high on Seroquel at that time.
Yes.
But you won't tell us who you got it from.
I'm pretty sure that's within my Fifth Amendment rights not to tell you that.
Well, my question is, who gave it to you?
And I already said another inmate did.
You're not going to tell us who that was.
I'm not sure why that's relevant.
Well, the jury might want to know.
Casey County Jail took all my psych meds away from me 2 weeks before I was to go on trial for this. I was under a lot of stress, so I started taking other people's psych meds. And I don't think it's really relevant who it was. They don't know that person.
Did you know that Bill Meese threw some of his clothes away that night?
I have no idea. I don't think so.
You recall telling us that the only thing that I really knew, I knew that he was throwing his shoes away, and I knew that he wore a pair of gloves that he threw away.
I told you what was in Gina's statement that I had read.
In fact, in your statement, you tried to implicate Gina some, didn't you?
Sure did.
You're upset with her, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. She has ruined my life by lying.
Bill Meese ever sent you a letter?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury when that letter was sent to you?
I certainly don't know the exact date. A couple years before we got arrested.
Tell the jury about the nature of that letter.
That I should give him some money to start a business because he's known me. The state police have ruined his life and broken up his marriage and ruined his life in general. And that I should give him the means to start a new life.
So he sent you a letter wanting money.
Yes.
Who else saw that letter?
Tracy Harris and Justin Manley.
Who's Justin Manley?
An ex-boyfriend of mine.
Do you recall? Let me ask you this, Miss Appleton. Were you involved in the planning and carrying out of the murders of your family?
Absolutely not.
All right. Do you recall acknowledging under oath that you were?
When?
You
talking about when I took my plea?
Yes, you were under oath.
Yes.
And you stated under oath that you were involved.
That's what one does when one takes a plea bargain.
Have you ever told Mary Preston that you were involved?
No, because I wasn't.
After the murders, were there photographs taken inside the house? I'm talking days or weeks after the murders.
Yes.
All right, tell the jury about those photographs.
Randy took a bunch of pictures that I never saw because the film never got developed because I thought that it was bizarre and kind of creepy. Because he felt that since I had never gone in a house, that I didn't go in the house because I was in shock. And at some point, I would need some sort of tangible something for the grief process. And so he took a bunch of pictures of the inside of the house.
After the murders, did Bill Meese, was he allowed by you to use the Wellness, your family's van?
At some point, yes.
Did you give Bill Meese any clothes from the house?
Everybody got clothes. And everybody got stuff.
So
I'm sure that he got stuff too.
So you feel then that you likely gave him some clothes from the house?
Probably yes.
Whose clothes were those?
I don't know. My dad's or my brother's.
Your dad's and your brother's. After the murders, did you file a claim seeking life insurance proceeds?
My lawyer did, yeah.
You signed that claim, though.
Okay.
Did you sign that claim?
I have no idea. I had a lawyer. I don't know.
Is that your signature at the bottom?
Yes.
What's the exhibit?
Exhibit number 42,
It's the annual exhibit.
claim.
Let's see where somebody else filled it all out, and then I just signed it.
You didn't fill out all the bottom, the address, the social security number, the phone number.
No, like my name right there and my birthday, that's not mine.
The rest of it is yours.
And up there is not mine either. Actually, what is that? Yeah, I mean, that's my handwriting down there. But all that up there is not.
How much money did you realize from all these life insurance policies?
After the lawyers and Eric and Sarah got their stuff, I got like $300,000.
$300,000. You had to file a lawsuit to get that.
Right.
At some point, did you talk about allowing Bill and Gina to live in a cabin on the farm after the murders?
I don't know. I know at some point I was considering moving back down there. And there is a cabin on the back of the farm, and we've always let other people live there. I mean, there had probably been 20 people living there since it had been built. When my grandfather died, we just started letting people live there.
The
I might
question
have.
was, after the murders,
I
did you
don't-
ever discuss letting Bill and Gina live down there?
I certainly don't remember doing that, but it seems like a reasonable possibility.
that you would have just allowed them, even though you didn't like Regina, that you would just have allowed them to live in the cabin down there?
Yeah?
And was that to start your commune, the commune that Bill wanted to start?
No.
Do you recall telling us previously that that was part of the reason that they were going to live down there was because of the commune?
I do recall telling you that.
All right. And in fact, the property down there had mortgages and debt that forced the property to have to be sold.
That's correct.
And that's part of the reason why all of you all didn't move down, you and Bill didn't move down there and start a commune. Isn't that correct?
No. We didn't move down there because Randy didn't want to live down there. And because he convinced me that it was a bad idea for me emotionally to live down there.
But Bill never changed his mind about wanting to live down there. He still wanted to live down there, didn't he?
I don't think that Bill ever really had any opinion one way or the other.
I wonder if I can have just a couple. Ms. Hampton, you've said a number of times that when you talked to us in December 31st of 2004, you don't recall a great deal of that. Is that your testimony?
That's correct.
And you have said a number of times that you told us what I wanted to hear.
Yes.
What did I tell you I wanted to hear?
You personally did not tell me that I
I
had
didn't say
made a
what I did
statement.
not tell you. I said, what did I tell you I wanted to hear?
You said you wanted a truthful statement.
Your Honor, at this time, that is all that I have for Ms. Hampton.
Cross-examination?
Yes, sir. Okay, if I call you Meg?
Yeah.
Mr. Wright's talking a lot about your statement on December 31st of 2004, and you indicated that you made this up based on discovery. Explain to the court a little bit what you mean about the discovery that you received. How much was there? How detailed was it? Would it be fair to say it was a number of
There
file
was,
boxes?
I didn't have a whole bunch of file boxes. I had binders. My lawyers made up binders for me. And it was 3 pretty good binders.
3 what?
Pretty big binders, like, I don't know, like that thick.
Like what?
Like this, like 4 inches thick.
3-4 inch
3
one?
4-inch binders.
Okay. And that included all of the police reports, right?
It had many, many papers about the whole thing.
And all the details of what they discovered
All
and
the
what they
details,
alleged.
everybody's statements, all the forensics. It had everything in it.
And including the police report of investigation itself.
Absolutely.
With the details of what they saw and what they found, et cetera.
Absolutely.
And that's what you based your statement of December on?
Yes.
Let me just go ask you questions in the same order that Mr. Wright would be the easiest way. So you said you were all hung out together, you and Regina and everybody. Did you do much gaming?
Certainly, I did a lot of gaming.
Could you explain to the jury what you mean by gaming and how that,
You know, I
Impact
can't
some of these
remember.
games.
I can't really remember which games I was playing when I was. I know that I was playing AD&D,
which is,
Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
okay. These are role-playing
They're
games,
role
right?
playing games. I think Bill was playing Shadowrun 2500, which is like a post-apocalypse kind of war game.
And Regina was
Certainly.
playing into gaming too, right?
Yeah, Regina was more into like the vampire stuff. Vampiring. I don't know if Mage had come out yet then. Played Civilization and World in Arms.
A lot of this gaming had to do with killing the opponents, right?
Yes.
Was there one instance where this would carry on even away from gaming and amongst your conversations too, right?
Yes, it would.
Tell us about an incident in Rupp Arena. What would the best way be to do something?
Randy had this game that he would play that would be like you'd be someplace and it'd be like, how many people could you kill right now? What would be the optimal way? You know, would it be somebody up on the catwalk in Rep Arena with a sniper's rifle or with an automatic weapon or sarin gas in the air conditioning system? And there'd be big discussions about the whole thing, but nobody actually did any of these things. We didn't shut down all of the police cars in Lexington by tampering with their gasoline systems. We didn't blow up Patterson Office Tower in several lovely ways. We didn't do any of that,
You just talked
but it was certainly talked about.
as a result of the game.
Well, yeah, because I mean that's the whole part of the game. You can't. You have to be able to justify that you would be able to do it in real life. And if you're playing, especially not really Dungeons and Dragons, but especially the other, you know, Vampire and Mage and Shadowrun, you have to be able. You can't just say that you do like something that happens in the Matrix. It has to be something that a human could feasibly do, and you have to justify to the person running the game that you could feasibly do it. And so people would come up with bizarre scenarios, and then you would have to come up with a justification of how you would do it. You know, it was kind of a way to hone gaming skills, but none of it was ever even remotely real.
The talk about the communes, did that have anything to do with the game Twilight 2000?
I don't think so.
Okay, I misunderstood that.
Certainly there were communes and arcologies in that. But
And Bill played that game?
yes.
Okay. Now I'm talking about where Mr. Wright was asking you questions about the evening before your parents' bodies were found. And at one point you said you made some phone calls.
Yes.
Where in that continuum did you make the phone calls? When did it, in what sequence?
I went to my house, my apartment,
From?
from
Okay, let's make this easy. Let's start when you're done playing cards with Bill and Regina.
right. I had to go feed my cats, and went to feed to my apartment. Got stuck in the driveway
Why did you get stuck in the driveway?
because there was like a foot of snow on the ground.
Okay,
Bill pushed the car out of the driveway, and there were some guys that worked in the building next door that helped with that. And then we went in my apartment, and Bill
by
was
the
out
way,
there.
I'm sorry, did you tell the police this?
Well, yeah.
When did you tell them that?
When all of this first started, like way back
93.
in 93.
Okay, go ahead.
Bill stayed downstairs. My apartment was like an upstairs and downstairs. And Bill stayed downstairs and watched TV, and I went upstairs and returned the calls on my answering machine. And then after that, we left.
And that included a call to a man named Alan Pete?
Yeah.
Alan Pete lived where?
In Chicago.
And what was your relationship with Alan Pete?
I was kind of dating him.
Okay, you were dating him. You were dating Randy. And you had a thing with Bill at the same time.
Yes.
Okay. In fact, you went and flew up to see Alan Pete just before this, isn't it?
I drove up to
Oh, you
see
drove
Alan
up?
Pete. And then it snowed a whole bunch, and Alan Pete drove me back home, and then he took the train back.
Okay. And you went up to see him in Chicago, stayed the weekend.
Yeah.
This was the weekend before. Let's use. Sorry.
I don't know. It was some weekend right around there.
Up in here, either the 12th or the 19th.
Somewhere in the Discovery, there's the airline, or the his ticket stubs are in there, and that could tell you the exact date. I don't know. It was around in there.
Okay.
I don't think it was around Valentine's Day,
Okay, so that would make it around the 19th or
but I think it was the weekend before all that stuff. I think it was like the first weekend. I think. I don't know.
something. Okay, but there's a
I'm
ticket
sure there's
stub.
paperwork. I've seen it.
Okay. Okay, so after the phone calls, then what?
We went to Coffee and to get gas.
And you're not sure of the order of that.
And I think we had to have gotten gas first and gotten coffee second, just because of the timing of the whole thing. But because Alan, somewhere or another in Discovery, is a letter that Alan Pete wrote when he got off the phone with me, and it tells times, and he's on Central Time. And I'm pretty sure that we had to have gone to coffee after, because that it wouldn't work out time-wise otherwise.
Okay. And then you went back to Bill's
I
apartment,
went back to Bill's apartment.
dropped him off,
No, I stayed there for like hours.
studied.
Yeah.
And then you went back to Randy's apartment,
Then I went back to Randy's apartment.
and you got stuck there too, right?
I got stuck there
Because of the snow.
because he had like a steep thing to get into, like the parking lot for his apartment building.
Yeah.
You had to go up like a little steep ramp thing, and I got stuck in that. And Alex, the peeping Alex, helped push my car up the little hill.
Okay. You say Peeping Alex. Who's it?
He's a guy that lived on the third floor of the building, and I don't know his last name.
People know him as Peeping Alex.
Yes,
And did you tell the police about Peeping Alex helping you?
absolutely.
And in the discovery, did you ever see anywhere where the police attempted to find Peeping
No.
Alex? Did you ever see in the discovery where the police attempted to find those who helped, the other guys who helped you?
No. And Alex would have been easy to find because there's police reports for him looking in our windows.
I'm sorry?
We called the police on him a couple of times for looking in the windows of
That's why it's
restaurants.
called Peeping Alex.
That's why it's called Peeping Alex.
Okay. Now skipping forward, we're talking about while you were given this statement in December of '04, you mentioned quickly that Casey County took your meds. Let's talk about that. What meds were you on at the time?
Thorazine, Elavil, and Prozac.
Okay, for what reasons?
I'm bipolar and have post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay. How long had you been on those meds?
I've been on and off psych meds since I was like, I took Prozac the first time when I was like 13.
Mhm.
I had been on Wellbutrin when I was arrested. They switched me to Prozac and Elavil. I'd had the Thorazine for about a year.
Okay, so these were prescriptions that you were being given by people while you were in jail, being prescribed to you while you were in jail
Yes,
by the Commonwealth.
yes,
Okay. And you were just about to go to trial,
yes.
stressed out. And that's when you say Casey County took your meds?
Yes.
How long was it that you were off your meds because Casey County took them away?
They never gave them back.
Well, how long were you off your meds before you gave that statement
A
in December?
couple, like 2 weeks.
Cold turkey.
Cold turkey.
And just before you gave your statement is when you got the sheriff call from.
I'd been taking other people's psych meds. I'd taken other people's, I think it was Bustar too, but I'd been for a few days because I was really stressed out.
Because you were cold turkey off your own meds.
Well, yeah.
The letter that you got that we discussed, that Mr. Wright discussed with you from Bill, you say you took it as him saying my life was ruined because of knowing you?
That's exactly what it said.
Okay, that letter is not in existence now, right?
No.
Did you take it as a blackmail letter?
No.
Did you take it as a letter for asking for money for, quote, services rendered, unquote?
No.
Justin Manley read the letter
Yes, Justin Manley read the letter.
and told the police what he said was in the letter. I'm waiting, yes or no, he told the police
Yes.
what he said was in the letter.
Yes.
Did he lie about what was in the letter?
Yes.
Why would he lie about what was in the letter? Give us a little background of your relationship with Justin Manley at that point.
Justin and I were together from the time I was separated from Randy while I was pregnant with Gabe, and we were together then.
And wait, we were together, was he?
Justin and I were together while I was separated from Randy.
Okay,
And then I went back to Randy and had Gabe. And then when Gabe was about 6 weeks old, I left Randy again and went back to Justin. And Justin and I were together for about 5 years after that. And then we broke up, fairly nasty breakup. And he basically, he wrote a note saying that, I know this letter existed, and if you don't let me see Gabe, it doesn't matter that it's not true. I'm going to go to the state police and ruin your life.
okay. Why would he want to see Gabe? Gabe wasn't his baby.
Because he'd been with Gabe for 5 years, and he felt that he loved Gabe more than Randy or I did.
And you said the breakup was bad. There were, in fact, a number of domestic violence orders obtained by you, correct?
Yes.
Or, no, excuse me. EPOs first, emergency
There was
protective orders.
EPOs first, and then there was a 3-year DVO.
Okay. And explain to the court, for who might not know, you first get an EPO, and then there's a hearing, and after a hearing, then you can get a DVO
Right.
from a judge.
He broke into my house several times. At one point, he came into my bar and hit me and took all the money out of the register. And then had me arrested for assault because I shoved him into the bar during that process. But somewhere in there, I think it was after that, the DVO got issued about that assault because he assaulted me in front of like 50 people.
Okay. And then it was after that that he threatened to go to the police
after
and
that.
lie about what was in the letter
Yes.
so that he could, unless you let him see Justin, or
Gabe.
excuse me, Gabe.
Yes.
Well, how would him lying about Bill affect you?
Because he said that he would tell the police that the letter said that Bill was trying to get paid for something,
Killing your parents.
and that he would ruin my life and put me in prison.
Okay.
His plan was to get Randy put in prison too, so he could have Gabe.
Okay, let's talk about the van very quickly. You let Bill use the family van. That was because his car was broken.
His car was broke. I had a car that I got when I was 16. It was a Mustang. So I had that. My grandmother had been letting me use her car because it wasn't economically feasible to drive around the Mustang because the gas was really high and the insurance was really high, and it was better for me to drive her old car. So I had her old car, I had my car. Randy had his own car. We lived on a 1 block street. We didn't even have a place to put it. Then Bill's car broke down. So Bill drove it for a couple months until we sold it. It wasn't like part of some master plan or something. I mean, he just drove it while we were getting ready to sell it.
Did Bill Meese ever get any money or any benefit from the insurance money?
No.
And it was only a few months more after your parents were murdered that you actually hung out with Bill and Regina after that, right? Only till about that summer?
About that, yeah.
And you and Regina never did get along?
No. Regina and I did not like each other.
So I have it this time, Your Honor.
Redirect, Mr. Wright.
Why did you and Bill quit hanging around that summer?
I didn't like Gina. Gina by then was sleeping with my ex-fiance. And it sort of nauseated me to see them together.
Even though you were sleeping with her husband, Bill.
Well, yeah.
I'm gonna go back and talk to you about a few things that Mr. Eustace asked you about. First of all, you said that you made the story up based on discovery.
Mhm.
That was your testimony. There was never any mention in discovery that you received from us about commune, was there?
I don't know.
There was never any mention in discovery about any jokes about parents being killed, was there?
I think that there was.
Where was that in discovery?
I don't know. Maybe there wasn't. I'm not sure.
There was never anything in discovery about pocket doors, was there, in your house?
There's something in discovery about somebody seeing Bill and Randy at the top of the steps in front of my bedroom door that I believe says something about the pocket doors. I don't know. I can't even remember who the interview was with.
Do you think that there's something in this discovery that
I think
says
there is something in that discovery that says something about
about
pocket
pocket
doors.
doors?
I really do.
You have no idea where it is.
I don't know.
In fact, there's nothing in this case report or in any part of discovery that talks about pocket doors.
Objection, argumentative, ask me.
Well, Larry, check one more time.
I really think that there is.
There's nothing in discovery. The part about Gina's involvement, that was completely made up by you, wasn't it?
No, it was a reiteration of Tamara Wachtel's story.
Tamara Wachtel story, okay. That's somebody you talked to,
That's in the discovery.
that you talked to.
That's somebody that I knew from LCC.
Okay. Now, on the Friday the 26th, when you found out about the murders, through a phone call that you said, that you found out, what did you do after you received a call from Columbia about the murders?
I didn't receive I was at Randy's house. Somebody called. They talked to Randy. Randy hung up on them, and then Randy went in the other room and called the state police.
In fact, you had already changed the message on your answering machine, hadn't you? Before then.
The night before that,
Saying, what did you put on your answering machine? What message?
Randy's phone number and something about if the weather was okay that we would be driving to Columbia when we woke up.
In fact, didn't it say, God willing, I'm on my way to Columbia?
Okay.
Isn't that what it said?
You have certainly told me that it said that. I don't remember saying that, but okay.
All right. And then, but that was changed before you got any phone call about going to Columbia, wasn't it?
I was supposed to go to Columbia with Randy for the weekend.
Now, so you denied into this jury that you went down with Bill Meese that night, that early morning of the 26th.
Absolutely.
And then after Randy Appleton got a phone call and he called the state police, what time was that?
I don't know.
After that, how long was it before you went to Columbia?
I don't know. We went to my grandmother's house. There was a bunch of phone calls made. Randy drove my grandmother and I to the Sparks' house.
In fact, it was several hours later, wasn't it?
I guess. I don't know.
And when you got there, you went directly to Miss Sparks' house, didn't you?
That's where I was told to go.
Which is several miles south of Columbia, isn't it?
I guess.
You went there, didn't you?
I didn't drive. He drove.
You don't remember where it was?
No?
You know where Breeding is in Adair County?
I certainly couldn't get you there. I don't know.
Who told you to go to Marilyn Sparks' residence?
Marilyn Sparks said the police said to go there.
You didn't bother talking to any officers, did you, before you got there?
No officers bothered talking to me.
You didn't bother going by the state police post?
Okay, Marilyn Sparks said, the state police said not to go to the house or anything, to go to her house and that they would be by to talk to me. The state police never called me, notified me of this, never called my grandmother and notified me her of this, never notified anybody in the family of anything. We got a call from my mom's friend. And Randy talked to the state police after we got that phone call. And we were stopped by a state trooper on our way there for speeding. And he didn't say to go to the police station.
But you never went and asked any officer about what had happened or anything about your family, did you?
Marilyn Sparks said that the
All right,
police
my
would be
question
there
is-
to talk to us.
Please state the question.
My question is, you never went and asked an officer, you never went to inquire of anybody about what had happened at the house, did you?
No.
Now, when you go to Columbia from Lexington, tell the jury what route you take to drive down there.
Bluegrass Parkway, through Lebanon, through Campbellsville, to Columbia.
All right. How long does that drive take you?
About 2 hours.
About 2 hours. When you're if you were driving then back from Columbia back to Lexington on that same route, you would go from Columbia to which city next?
Campbellsville,
And then from Campbellsville to
Lebanon.
Lebanon. Now, in going through Campbellsville, do you pass a McDonald's on the left?
Yes.
The original life insurance policies, do you know when those were located?
No?
Did you call somebody and tell them where to look about finding those policies?
May we approach him?
Yes, you may.
Procedurally, he's bringing up items now that were not in any of Mike Ross or his original direct. I thought, it is my understanding he should limit himself to anything that was brought up in Mike Ross, rather than opening up all new areas.
don't think that's technically correct, Mr. Justice, Mr. Wright. Why do you need to go outside the scope of the cross-examination?
This was something that Ms. Yates testified about, and I wanted to ask Ms. Appleton about it. It's always been our practice before this court that we've been, the court's always been liberal in the past on that. In every case I've tried, but I understand if the court wants to.
I have always been rather liberal with that, Mr. Eustace. I never heard of that when I tried a case of murder and the judge, he wasn't that liberal. Sometimes I may have referred to it a very few times to shorten the examination, but I'm going to allow him to proceed. But the first thing I'm going to do is take a recess.
Okay.
I believe it's about that time. We'll get a second one. So let me give the jury an admonishment. We'll let them step in and then we'll take a recess. All right?
While we're here at the bench, there was one question I would like to ask, but I want to see if there's going to be an objection to it first. And then I'd like to give, I don't know if the court wants. She has talked a number of times about giving this statement in order to get a plea agreement, in order to get to tell me what I wanted to hear. And I would like to, and obviously the court, the jury knows she's incarcerated. I would like to be able to ask her what sentence she is serving. And bring it up at the bench before I ask it in front of the jury. Just to make sure there's no objection to that.
No objection.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you've been here for an hour and 30 minutes, and we've been here longer than that. We're going to take a recess at this time. Now, during the recess, and please leave your notepads here in the seats when you go out. During the recess, I want you to remember those admonitions I gave last week. Do not discuss this case among yourselves. Do not suffer or permit anyone to discuss the case with you. Do not form or express any opinion of this matter until you've heard all the evidence. Receive the instructions of the court. The case has been submitted to you. Any further admonition at this time, Mr. Wright?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Eustace?
Yes.
Let's take a sufficient recess so that those who wish may have an opportunity to smoke. So we'll be in recess in minimum 15 minutes, please. Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. You waiting to call, Mr. Wright?
Yes, Your Honor.
Waiting to call, Mr. Eustace?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Wright, you may continue with your resurrected examination of the witness, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Seth, I think before the break I had asked you if you recall when the original life insurance policies were found. Do you recall that?
No, I'm not really sure.
Did you ever call and speak with Cindy Yates about those life insurance policies?
I do not recall doing that.
Did you ever call and tell Cindy Yates where to look to find those policies?
Not that I remember.
Do you recall sometime the summer following the murders in June of '94, finding some birth certificates or adoption papers in the presence of Tommy Grider?
I do remember finding some papers.
Do you remember what those papers were?
I don't think that they were first, because we never did find the original adoption papers, so I don't think that it was that.
Okay, what do you think it was?
I don't really remember.
And do you know where you found those papers?
I know we found them while we were looking for the title for the truck. And I don't think they were insurance papers or anything. I think it was like my birth certificate and my brother's birth certificate.
Do you think that was the birth certificates that were found?
Yeah.
Do you know what kind of folder or file or where those were found?
And it was in like the filing cabinet with the charts. It wasn't in the filing cabinet that it was supposed to be in at all. It was in like the wrong filing
Do you know
cabinet.
how they got there?
Well, I would assume through poor filing.
Do you know who put them there?
No.
Were you aware that your parents had a fire safe?
Yes.
Or had you seen the fire safe?
Yes.
When and where had you seen it?
Many times in the closet.
Describe it.
It was white.
And did you discuss with Bill East where it was located?
No.
Earlier, you talked about a gas receipt.
Yes.
We'll show you this and ask if you recognize that.
Looks like a gas receipt.
Is that your signature at the top?
Yes.
What's the date and time on this?
Where do you think the date and time is on that? 2:28 on 2:26.
The time was 2:28 a.m.
Yes.
and the date was 2:26.
Yes.
So this was at 2:30 in the morning when you put gas in your car,
Yes.
and you and Bill East were the only two present.
Yes.
And that's the receipt that you got at that time.
Yes.
You know, I knew that this gas receipt, there's an evidence envelope that it was contained in. I knew that this be marked as Commonwealth Exhibit 46 collectively and introduced in the market.
No objection.
Without objection, let it be so ordered.
Now, you said earlier, Ms. Appleton, that you were high when you gave that statement in December of 2004,
Yes.
and that you don't remember much of it.
I did not remember much of it. That is correct.
And you said that that was done in order to get a plea agreement.
Yes.
And you pled guilty and acknowledged under oath that you were guilty. Is that correct?
I tried to get an Alfred plea and he wouldn't let me. That was the only way I could get a plea.
And you pled guilty and acknowledged under oath that you were guilty
Yes.
of being involved in the planning of the murders of your parents and brother. Is that correct?
I acknowledged guilt in the complicity charge. I guess that's what that means, I guess. I don't know.
And as a result of that, you're now serving a sentence. Is that correct?
Yes.
How long is the sentence that you're now serving?
25 to life.
25 to life. In other words, you're serving a prison term of life in prison,
Yes.
and you won't be eligible for parole for at least 25 years. Is that correct?
21 now, but
21 now. And that sentence was exchanged for your guilty plea to your involvement in the murders of Joe, Beth, and Dennis Wellens. Is that correct?
yes.
All right, this time, that's all the questions I have for Ms. Ivey.
Question of cause, Mr.
You said you tried to get an Alfred plea. Would you explain to the jury what your understanding of an Alfred plea was?
It's when you think you're going to get convicted, but you don't. You plead guilty, but it's basically saying, but you're not really guilty, but you think you're going to lose.
Basically saying you think they have enough evidence that you might be found guilty. But
That
you're
you
not
think that they're
admitting
going to be
it.
able to convict you, but that you're not saying that you did anything.
Okay, you tried to get that,
Yes.
but it wasn't, they wouldn't allow it?
No.
Okay. Can explain to, could you explain to the court who Miss Sparks was?
At one time, she was kind of a counselor of mine. She was a friend of my mom's. I know her since I was pretty young.
Okay, and that's where you were told to go after this, you said not to go to the house.
Right. The police had never talked to any of us except when Randy had called the police station.
So just to clarify, the first call that Randy got was not from law enforcement?
It was a friend of my mom's that had my home phone number, and she had called my apartment, and my answering machine said Randy's phone number, and that when we woke up, we were going to Columbia. And so she got my phone number, or Randy's phone number, off my answering machine and called Randy's. Randy thought it was a prank call and hung up on her.
Mm.
And then Randy called the state police. And then they wouldn't tell us what had happened, but said that we needed to come to Columbia. It didn't say to go to the police station or anything like that. We made some more phone calls, and Marilyn said that the police said to come to her house.
Okay. Who was, and now I'm going to talk to you about finding the insurance policies. Who was there when the policies were found by Cindy Yates?
I don't know.
Were you there? I
don't
believe
know.
you and Randy were there in another room or something like that?
We could have been.
Okay.
I don't really remember.
Okay. The night before, when you were playing cards with Bill and Randy and Regina.
Yes.
When did Randy leave?
11-ish.
11-ish, okay. The 25th,
Right.
11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central.
Right.
Okay. And now, Mr. Wright said that, was questioning you about no mention of a commune, the jokes about killing, the pocket doors, etc., were not in the discovery. You didn't mean for the jury to believe that every single thing that you said was out of the discovery, did you?
No, not every single thing that I'd said. But, you know,
The details of the crime.
I had a pretty good idea of what he wanted to hear from how the reports were written and what was in discovery, and from things that he had said to me or through my attorney before.
For example, pocket doors. You lived in that house, right?
Yeah.
So you knew there were pocket doors. You was a pocket door in your own room, right?
Yeah.
I have nothing further.
Any problem, Mr. Wright?
One clarification, Ms. Hampton, I think you corrected yourself there, but you said you had an idea based on things I had said to you. The only thing I said to you was to tell the truth. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor, that's all the questions I have. I'd like to approach, if I could, before Ms. Hampton is excused.
You may.
Your Honor, I spoke during the recess to Mr. Eustace. It's going to be my intention to play her prior inconsistent statement by way of one of the officers that was present. I think I've laid the foundation. If there's any objections to doing that through him, I want to bring it up before she's excused.
Objection for the record, but I think you were already ruled on.
It's
On
the
that
same
issue.
objection
Yeah,
I
same.
made earlier.
Right.
Well, the record will show that the rule is that the only objection that you
Yes.
Okay.
She can be excused. Okay, not excused. We're going to call her back as our witness, but we don't need her the rest of the week. She can go back to Peewee Valley.
have. You get done here today or tomorrow.
You're right. Don't think so.
We'll have to have another transport.
What? I'll have another one.
Stay. Okay. All right, then the witness may be excused at this time. Will be subject to recall later this afternoon.
Okay.
Ma'am? I'm custody of the bailiffs at this time.
Despite the wild claims about her plea deal, Meg Wilnitz returned to prison to serve out the rest of her sentence. After her testimony, Bill Meese announced that he was going to take the stand in his defense. Bill Meese's testimony will be in part 2 of this video series.